I am looking forward to telling you about gardening with native plants. We started with them some years ago, and we now have lots of them in our yard. If you want more butterflies and birds in your yard, natives can help. I'll be talking mostly about flowers with some other types of plants thrown in. Your plant list has all these plants in the order I'm going to present them. I've included their Latin names in case you'd like to get some of them for your own garden. Several plants that can have the same common name, so having the Latin name can help you find the exact one you want. This is big leaf lupin. I'm growing these this year for the first time. I saw them in a garden we toured and I decided I had to have some. They are perennials and grow 3 to 4 feet high and about 1 to 1.5 feet wide. Big leaf lupins do well in shade, sun to partial shade. That's good. That's fine. Okay. Let's see now. They like fertile soil, so it's a good idea to add compost before planting them. In summer, I can see fine without the lights at all, so. Oh, all right, good, okay. They like fertile soil, so it's a good idea to add compost before planting them. In summer, add mulch to conserve moisture and regulate soil temperature. The flowers can be white, red, pink, yellow, or blue. Blue is the most common color. This plant dies back in winter and comes up again in the spring. The Oregon fawn lily can be 6 to 16 inches tall and about half as wide. It likes partial shade with rich soil with organic matter. It blooms with 3-inch creamy white flowers in the spring and dies back in the summer. It's a perennial that grows from a bulb. The blooms attract butterflies, hummingbirds, moths, and native bumblebees. I've had people tell me, I don't want to attract bees to my yard. But native bees are not aggressive and rarely sting. Some types of native bees don't even have stingers. One source I read said yellow jackets and bumblebees are responsible for 95% of stings. Many bumblebees are in decline, and we welcome them to our garden. Here's a native shrub, the western azalea. We've got one of these on order for our yard. It grows rapidly to 9 to 15 feet tall and 8 to 10 feet wide. Each branch has 5 to 15 sparkling white or pink flowers. The western azalea likes partial to full shade. It thrives in moist soil with a lot of organic matter. It attracts bees, butterflies, and hummingbirds. Its leaves turn yellow, orange, or red in the autumn before falling. This is Douglas aster, considered one of the toughest, easiest to grow native plants. In fact, I would go as far as saying they're hard to kill. It grows about 3 feet tall and 6 inches wide and spreads by underground rhizomes. It thrives in sun or partial shade. It has lots of lavender 1-inch blooms that look like little daisies. Douglas aster blooms summer into fall. This plant is loved by butterflies and bees, especially tiny native bees. Here is the shade phacelia, also known as the Oregon phacelia. It's a long-lived perennial that is highly attractive to butterflies. Bumblebees also visit it. The flowers are white, sometimes with a touch of pink. This plant can grow up to 36 inches tall and 1 to 2 feet wide. Birds like the seeds. It often does well where other plants have struggled, like drier and or shadier areas. And it's a nitrogen fixer. Here is kinnikinnick, also known as bearberry. It makes a good ground cover so long as you don't plan to walk on it. The woody branches don't work for foot traffic. It likes full sun to partial shade and needs good drainage. Kinnikinnick rarely gets over 6 inches tall. It's often found growing on sand dunes, but it also does well in partial shade in forests. It blooms May to June and then makes these attractive berries. Some birds eat the berries. They are edible for humans but don't taste good raw. They can be used in jams, jellies, or teas. But a friend told me she doesn't like them cooked either. This is the Pacific bleeding heart. It's a beautiful perennial with fern-like foliage. It grows up to 18 inches tall and 2 feet wide. Pacific bleeding heart is very low maintenance. It blooms in spring. The flowers are usually rose pink, but they may be purple, cream, or yellow. It goes dormant and dies down after forming seeds. The plant emerges again the following spring. Bleeding heart thrives in dappled shade and well-drained soil. It self-seeds and reproduces by rhizomes, but spreads slowly. Just a minute. Here is Rainier violet, also known as sagebrush violet. It typically grows 2 to 6 inches tall. I just recently found out about this one and look forward to trying it. It may look like this picture, or it can be all purple. This plant likes full or partial sun, moist springs, and dry summers. It benefits from some protection from summer heat. Rainier violet attracts bees and butterflies. Western sword fern is a common native plant in the Northwest. It grows 2 to 4 feet tall and 2 to 5 feet across. It prefers shade, but it can take more sun than most ferns. When grown in full sun, the fronds are smaller and more erect. These plants are evergreen perennials and good for erosion control. We have a number of them, some in full sun, others in shade. They are all doing well. Western sword ferns can adapt to a variety of soils, but must have good drainage, and the leaves can be used in floral arrangements. And I'm leaving a little space between each one in case somebody wants to ask about them. Should have said that at the beginning. You can ask questions at the end too. Oregon geranium is an attractive perennial that grows 18 to 30 inches tall and about 2 feet wide. It has pink to purple flowers spring through summer. It can grow in moist or dry soil and prefers clay or loam with lots of organic matter. It's drought tolerant. We have some of these and they are very easy to grow. They attract butterflies and other pollinators. This is the inside out flower. It likes moist, shady environments with rich, well-drained soil. It grows 12 to 18 inches tall and wide. It has dainty white flowers with petals that sweep backward, revealing the stamens. Here's a close-up of the flower. It spreads by rhizome and can form an attractive ground cover. Once established, they are drought tolerant, low maintenance, and deer resistant. Red flowering kern is one of my favorite shrubs. Its mature height can vary from 3 to 15 feet. It's drought tolerant once established, but needs regular watering the first few years. It flowers very early in the spring, starting before its leaves grow back. The blooms can be pink, white, or red. The flowers attract hummingbirds and butterflies. The little black berries attract various birds. The cooked berries are edible, though tart. They can be used in jams, jellies, and syrups. The red flowering currant likes full sun to partial shade. It is adaptable to various soil types, but must have good drainage. 3 to 15 feet. And I used to not believe that it would get that big because we have several of them and they've all topped out at about 4.5 feet. But then I saw a couple of 15-footers in other people's yards. So it can happen, but I think it depends on your conditions. Okay, let's see here. Showy milkweed is a perennial we grow successfully in our yard. Narrow-leaf milkweed isn't native to Oregon and doesn't do as well here. I tried growing it before I knew that. Showy milkweed is deer and drought resistant. The plants are generally 2 to 6 feet tall and 1 to 3 feet wide. It doesn't transplant well because it has long roots, so it works well just to plant it where you want it. Or you can start it in small pots or 6-packs. Anywhere you plant it, do it in fall so it can get the cold stratification it needs. Then, if you plant it in containers, transplant it in the spring while it's still small. Showy milkweed may not bloom the first year, but the blooms are beautiful and unusual. The pink, fragrant flowers put on a show from summer into fall. They attract butterflies, native bees, and honeybees. Milkweed leaves are the only food for monarch butterfly caterpillars. Some say milkweed can spread aggressively, but we've been growing it for years and have not experienced this. This is Canadian goldenrod. It's a perennial that grows 2 to 5 feet tall and about a foot wide. It doesn't cause allergic reactions. The look-alike plant that does that is ragweed. Canadian goldenrod has showy yellow flowers and often blooms July through October here. This goldenrod can thrive in sandy, rocky, or clay soils, but does prefer well-drained sites. If the soil is too rich or you feed them, these plants grow leggy. Canadian goldenrod is drought tolerant once established. It is excellent for attracting bees, butterflies, and birds. I've read that it can reproduce aggressively, but it hasn't done that in our yard. Early blue violet is known as easy to grow. It prefers dappled shade but can tolerate full shade or dappled sunlight. This little perennial only gets up to 4 inches tall. Early blue violets thrive in fertile, well-drained soil. Adding compost can increase the fertility and drainage of your soil. It is a resilient plant that it can adapt to various conditions. We have some of these, and the only problems they've had is slugs during the wet springs. But we put out beer slug traps, and that takes care of the problem. Ceanothus can be a shrub or a ground cover, depending on which one you choose. There are 50 to 60 species, ranging in size from 2 inches to 20 feet tall. Today I'm going to talk about blue blossom, the most popular native ceanothus. Its evergreen leaves are dark green on top and lighter green below. When it blooms, it is covered with blue flowers. Blue blossom grows to 8 to 12 feet tall and wide. Once established, it should not be watered in the summer. It attracts hummingbirds, butterflies, and bees. I think full sun, but let me double check. You know, I didn't write it down, but we've got ours in sun. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It can be, what was it? 2 inches to 20 feet tall, depending on which kind you get. Yeah. Western columbine is easy to grow perennial that dies back in the winter. It eventually forms a bushy upright clump, 18 to 18 inches across with 8 to 18 inches across with multiple 2-inch red flowers. It blooms spring through summer. It attracts hummingbirds and butterflies. Western columbine is ignored by rabbits and deer. Blue vervain is a native perennial that can grow 2 to 5 feet tall and 1 to 2.5 feet wide. It attracts many pollinators. Birds eat the seeds, which can help to spread the plant. The purple flowers last from summer into the fall. It is often found in moist meadows, pastures, riversides, and ditches, but it is also drought resistant. Deer avoid it because of its bitter taste. It likes full to partial sun and can grow in a variety of soils. Ossoberry, also known as Indian plum, is a quick-growing shrub that attracts birds. Some eat the fruits and hummingbirds enjoy the nectar. It also attracts butterflies. It grows 15 to 20 feet high and 5 to 10 feet wide. Ossoberry tends to spread by suckers, which makes it a great choice for hedgerows. But if you don't want more plants, you can remove the suckers. Also, it tends to sucker more in moist places. Despite preferring moist locations, it is drought tolerant. We have one on a hillside that doesn't get watered in the summer. It's at least 8 years old and it's only 4 feet tall and wide. Ossoberry takes advantage of early spring sunlight before overstory trees produce leaves and shade. One of the earliest plants to leaf out and bloom, it produces clusters of small white flowers that hang from the tips of the branches. It's adaptable. It prefers moist, fertile soil but will grow in clay. When both male and female plants are present, it produces purple berries that ripen in summer. Finally, it is good for erosion control. Pearly everlasting thrives in dry, sunny spots. It's an easy care perennial that I like better now that I've grown it. Before I'd grown it, I just thought it was kind of funny looking. So, but now that I've grown it, it's grown on me. No pun intended. It grows 1 to 3 feet tall, 1 to 2 feet wide, with gray-green foliage and plentiful small white flowers. After its first year, it's drought tolerant. Its white flowers dry well. Pearly everlasting tolerates rocky or poor soil and needs no fertilizer. In the garden, it tolerates sub-zero temperatures, but if you grow it in a container, it will need frost protection. Oh, that one does too. I hadn't found that. Thanks. This is Berry leaf Phacelia. It has leaves of various shapes. Its mature size is approximately 18 to 24 inches tall and 12 to 18 inches wide. It has unusual white or lavender flowers and blooms May to July. Berry-leaf Phacelia is a perennial that dies down in winter, leafing out again in spring. It attracts butterflies, bees, and hummingbirds. It likes full sun to partial shade and soil rich in organic matter. Once established, it is highly drought tolerant. Ours are often thriving when many other plants have died from the heat in the summer. And those things, they're already leafed out too, the Phacelias. Okay, let's see. Evergreen huckleberry is a shrub that likes full sun or dappled shade. Grown in full sun with dry summers, it will be short and bushy, staying under 5 feet. If grown in partial shade, it will form arching stems up to 8 feet tall. This plant likes cool, moist winters and dry summers. In late winter and early spring, evergreen huckleberry displays reddish new growth. It thrives with compost or another organic mulch on top of the soil. It is related to blueberries, and its fruit and small pink flowers resemble those on blueberry plants. This plant blooms from early spring to early summer. Then, if there are male and female plants present, it forms berries. The berries are edible and may be eaten fresh, cooked, or dried. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, it's a native huckleberry, and I don't know if it's the same one. Let's see now, where was I? Globegilia is an annual. There are several subspecies whose height varies from 6 to 35 inches, but it most commonly gets to be about 2 feet tall. It tolerates drought and rocky soil. Its light blue to blue-violet globe-shaped flowers are present from May to July. It usually dies down in the heat of summer after setting seeds for the next year. Oregon iris is a beautiful perennial that grows from a rhizome. It grows 10 to 24 inches tall and 12 to 24 inches wide and prefers sandy or loamy, well-drained soils. It doesn't do well in clay. Oregon iris likes sun to partial shade. It's deer resistant and attracts hummingbirds, butterflies, bees, and beneficial insects. The blooms can be purple, lavender, yellow, or creamy white. Nodding onion is a sun-loving perennial that comes back year after year. It grows 1 to 2 feet tall. It blooms June to August with clusters of small bell-shaped flowers that can be white, pink, or lavender. They attract bees and butterflies. The foliage is grass-like. It's drought tolerant. Nodding onion is easy to grow in a variety of soils, including clay. Its pungent smell makes it deer resistant. Some sources say its leaves can be used like chives. Other sites say they're too bitter to eat. Goat's beard is a good-sized, low-maintenance plant, 4 to 6 feet tall, 2 to 4 feet wide. It likes partial sun to full shade. It should be planted in medium moisture to wet soil and works well in a rain garden. From May to July, it's covered with fluffy, creamy white blooms that attract butterflies and bees. Male plants have showier blooms than female ones. Broadleaf shooting star is a perennial that often grows underneath or near Oregon white oaks. It grows 5 to 14 inches tall and is related to cyclamens and primroses. It makes a good cut flower. And if you throw the cut flowers on the ground, they will still set seed and start a new patch of these plants for you. I've never heard of another plant that does that. Let's see. It blooms in early spring, then dies back in summer. The flowers are small but striking, magenta petals with a thin yellow ring and a black base. Don't water them once they're established. They grow well with Oregon fawn lily and are deer resistant. Cascade penstemon is a perennial with a bushy habit. Let me tell you how I got my first one. I went over to help dig native plants from this lady that had posted wanting help thinning her flower beds. After I got home, I realized I had accidentally dug up another plant with one that I wanted. The previous owners identified it as a Cascade penstemon. I planted it in a 4-inch pot and waited to see if it would live. I didn't have much hope because it didn't have much roots. Not only did it live, it bloomed in that pot. It is now happily growing in a flower bed. These grow 12 to 24 inches tall and 10 to 12 inches wide. The purple flowers are on display from May to August. It likes sun or shade. It attracts hummingbirds, butterflies, bees, and beneficial insects. It also serves as a host for caterpillars. That is Cascade penstemon. Showy tarweed is an annual that self-seeds. It blooms June through September. It has yellow, daisy-like flowers with reddish or brown centers. It grows 4 to 6 feet tall and 1 to 2 feet wide. It thrives in full sun to partial shade. Showy tarweed needs a dry environment. Once established, avoid overwatering to prevent rotting the roots. It's deer resistant and tolerates clay soil. It attracts a variety of native bees. This is rose checker mallow. It's a perennial, dying back in the winter and growing again in the spring. While in bloom, it can get up to 2 feet tall and wide. This plant likes our usual weather of wet in the winter and dry in the summer. It does well in full sun or partial shade. Butterflies and bees are attracted to the flowers. Caterpillars eat the leaves and the plants come back nicely after being munched on. Yeah, I was so dismayed the first time that I found mine had been like gnawed down, to the stem, and then it just grew right back. These plants are edible, and folks use the leaves and flowers in salads. That is my talk for today.